Hi, this is LLL and this is my assessment binder video. So the first section we have is developmental milestones. So right here we have is a figure 6-1 that I thought was really helpful for this. And here is table 6.2, 5 commonly cited norms for consonant development. Here's table 6.7 for developmental norms for phonological processes. Table 7.1 for language milestones from birth to 24 months. Table 7.6 normal development of grammatical morphemes. Table 7.7 Brown stages of language development. Table 7.8 developmental norms for mean length of utterance. Table 7.10 developmental stages in early syntactic acquisition. And here is a normal speech sound development in English and also in Spanish. And here is when to refer a student for articulation English speaking. And here is from Izetti's class, the phoneme acquisition. I think this would be great to see for future reference to see the rules and places. And here is the pragmatics, typical ages. Here's from JWL's class is the features of language development that advance during later childhood and adolescence of the semantics and syntax morphology. It has little key points to it. Here is the next section, early language. Here we have Pickett's theory with the age ranges, stage, and descriptions. Here we have is Pickett's 6 substages of the sensory motor stage with substage, age, description, and examples. And here is McCoon's play with examples and levels in appropriate development. Yeah, more levels as well over here. Now here is a communicative function form. And here is from Shipley, some resources for assisting communicative disorders. And the continued page. As well as this one. Oh, this part actually is the late talker versus language disorder. So it's this page and this page continued on. Next one is oral mech exam section. So right here we have the oral mech exam. And here we have is the Appendix 6A sample oral peripheral examination form. It's from Stein-Rubin. Here we have is Form 1, the oral facial examination form. Here we have is the Appendix 6B instructions for measuring diacokinetic rate. It's from Stein-Rubin. Here is an oral cavity. Great for clinic. And here's the next section for speech sound assessment. Here we have is Form 6.1, comparison of sound errors from an articulation test in connected speech. Here's Form 6.2, sounds that are stimulable. Form 6.3, phonological processes worksheet. Appendix 6A, words and sentences for assessing stimulability. And here is another handout from Izetti's class as the consonants. I think it'll be helpful for the future, as well as if I forget. Table 6-8, communicative behaviors associated with childhood apraxia of speech. And here is another handout from Izetti's class, which is place of articulation. If I forget, I can look back in here. Here's the CAP 2, clinical assessment of articulation and phonological, 2nd edition. And here is the assessment tool review for CAP 2. And here is assessment tool review for Golden Fresco. And the next section is childhood language assessment. So for this handout, it is working with language learning disabilities. It's just a little chart / worksheet that you can fill out. I thought that was useful for the future. Here's form 13-3, vocally abusive behaviors checklist, children and youth. I thought that was pretty useful as well. Here's table 7-4, shows administration, the test, age, receptive and expressive, areas of assessment. I thought that was very useful. Form 7-1, worksheet for an analyzing child caregiver interactions. Form 7.2, 7-2, language developmental survey. This is continued. This is form 7-5, checklist for an informal assessment of language. Here is form 7-7, assessment of morphological features. And here's the continued version. Here is told I-5, examiner record booklet. This is the test of language development and immediate 5th edition. And here is the assessment tool review for told I-5. And here is the CLEF 5. I couldn't find, I didn't have access to this test, so I just tried to look for it online and try to gather enough information as I could, but it looks like I couldn't find any information for the normative sample population comparison and the appropriateness for diverse subgroups. Here is the next section, which is vocabulary and concepts. Here is Form 9, assessment of syntactic skills. Sorry. Here is the continued version. It's a chart of parts of speech, phrases, clauses, and sentences. Here's expressive one-word picture vocabulary test, the EOW, you would say. And here's the assessment tool review, the EOW PVT4. And here we have is the ROW PVT4. I looked online and I could find some subsequent information, but it was just like an analysis of it. It didn't have much information, just this much of like whatever information it had online that's accessible. It was pretty expensive to buy, around like I think $200. Here is the next section with written language assessment. Here we have is table 8-3 for, we have the tests, administration time, age, and areas of assessment. And then we have a continued version where it has the definitions of productivity, complexity, appropriateness of audience and topic, cohesiveness, mechanics, analytic aspects. And here it shows several available tests for the assessment of writing skills and some narrative writing similarities and differences that it has shown in the bottom. As well, it continued on, and then a section about expository writing and the three-part format for it, and the persuasive writing. And it has a format of a persuasive essay, for example. And here's Form 12.2 Fluency Chart Grid. And Form 8.5 Worksheet for analyzing a writing sample. And here's the next section, which is language sample analysis. I got this handout from Brock. It's the grammatical morpheme analysis. Great for clinic. As well as this document, a handout from Brock. It's a template for the utterances, words, and morphemes to count. And calculate. And here is a free language sample analysis checklist. Oh, it's from Teacher Pay Teacher. And here's the next section, bilingual assessment. I found out this multicultural considerations, and inside it has very thick pages about cultural competence, pre-assessment knowledge, planning and completing the assessment, making a diagnosis, working with interpreters, concluding comments, sources of additional information, chapter 2 forms, and then appendix 2A, 2B, and 2C. So here is first the chapters. Inside of here, it's pretty thick. Here's the ending page, and then here's the appendixes. This is where it starts. Appendix 2A, Speech and Language Characteristics of African American English. Sorry, my hand was shaking. Not sure why. And here's Appendix 2B, Speech and Language Characteristics of Spanish. It has some tables. And here's Appendix 2C, Speech and Language Characteristics of Asian Languages. It has some tables as well to show examples. Next section we have here is fluency. And for fluency, we have the assessment of stuttering and cluttering. So we have a list right here of a diagnosis of stuttering disorders often made by one or more of these conditions. So it has a list of these conditions. And then here is a stuttering disorder requiring intervention is more likely of, and it shows different points over here. And also it has the assessment instruments available right here to use. This would be great for future references as well. Here is Table 12-3, Differential Characteristics of Stuttering and Cluttering. And here is Form 12-1. It's a fluency log. Here's a close-up. And here, oh, here's the other part right here, the continued part. And then here is Form 12-5, the assessment of associated motor behaviors. This one's pretty thick. Here is dysfluency measurement protocol. Associated motor behaviors assessment protocol. Avoidance behaviors assessment protocol. And continued. As well, continued. And here's the cluttering assessment protocol. And the next section is the voice disorders. here we have from Shipley a diagram, a figure of 13-1 of the anatomy of vocal mechanism. And here in figure 13-2 is the vocal folds. Thought this would be helpful. And here's more of the common vocal fold pathologies in figure 13-3. Here's table 13-3 for normal vocal intensities, averages, and ranges, as well as the evaluation vocal qualities listed. Form 13-4 is the consensus auditory perceptual evaluation of voice, KP. Form 13-7, checklist for the assessment of clients with clefs. And next section would be acquired neurological disorders. So right here we have is the Rancho Los Amigos revised from diagnostics class, which is by Professor Reese. It has another sheet in it, but it doesn't show. Here's speech language pathology evaluation. This is the Sutter bedside evaluation, Sutter Tracy. And it has the forms inside. And here's form 13-1, voice handicap index. And here's a summary. And here is form 14-1, assessment of aphasia. It's pretty thick. And here's the last page. It's really thick. And then here's form 14-2, cognitive linguistic evaluation. It's pretty thick as well. Form 14-3, assessment of clients with traumatic brain injury. These forms are really helpful for the future when I have a child or adult with some acquired disorders with these kind of particular client with like traumatic brain injury or needs evaluation of cognitive linguistic or aphasia, as well as voice handicap to eval. And here we have is table 14-3 Glasgow Coma Scale, and here has the direct assessment considerations. And lastly, we have from JWL's class, topics in child language disorder, the assessment strategies for traumatic brain injury using WHO framework.